Happy 130th anniversary to the Ryman Auditorium.
My friends and I will share our passion for this iconic building. You may learn a few surprising facts along the way.
Lula and Naff booked everything in the Ryman Auditorium, from Harry Houdini to musicians, everything.
All the women of the Opry had to use the restroom to change their clothes in. We would have dressed on Broad Street. We did not care. We were going to be on the Opry.
It's part of the history of America, not just Nashville and not just country music.
There's no place else like it on earth.
Happy 130th anniversary to the Ryman Auditorium. You're wearing it well.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us to celebrate 130 years of the Ryman Auditorium.
Our story began over 130 years ago when a riverboat captain was saved by a reverend.
So Thomas Ryman was a self-made man, kind of the epitome of the American dream. He developed a steamboat business here in Nashville that just absolutely dominated the region.
In the middle to late 19th century, the way to transport freight in and out of Nashville was through steamships. Captain Thomas Ryman's business grew to 35 steamships, and he became one of the most powerful and influential men here in Nashville.
Well, Sam Jones was the biggest preacher on the circuit of his day. Think Billy Graham. This was a guy who was known in the 19th century as America's most beloved preacher.
He was probably the most famous man, besides a president or something like that, in America. He really was.
Captain Tom Ryman, the sinful, licentious riverboat captain from Nashville with all the dough, went down to Sam Jones's tent one day.
He hears this preacher, and it just changed his whole world. He no longer drank alcohol. He wouldn't take insurance out on his steamships, for example. He actually bragged to a Louisville newspaper. He said, hey, if God wants a steamship to sink, it's destined to sink.
Anyhow, he goes into the tent, and there's Sam Jones there preaching fire and brimstone and the gospel's glory and everything, and that's right when Sam helps Tom obtain a vision from on high. And some kind of voice thunders in Captain Tom Ryman's head right there at the Sam Jones revival. And the voice says, Tom Ryman, build me a tabernacle.
Ryman and Jones dreamed of creating a tabernacle as the religious gathering place for the city. Eventually, Nashvillians joined Ryman and Jones. This dream became their dream too. The people of the city donated both their time and money to complete the Union Gospel Tabernacle.
It was built to be a church, and it was built to be, a place of worship, and that's sort of like in its DNA.
And I think every time that you walk in there, no matter if you're in the audience or if you're on stage, you can feel that.
They finished building the Union Gospel Tabernacle in 1892. It was non-denominational, and that meant that it was for everybody.
1892 marks the opening of the Ryman Auditorium and the first time the Fisk Jubilee Singers performed on that stage. Since then, the Fisk Jubilee Singers have enjoyed a thriving relationship with the Ryman.
The Fisk Jubilee Singers are truly, I would argue, the first famous performance group to come out of Nashville, Tennessee. They came from an African-American university here, Nashville Fisk University. They became internationally renowned, even performed for Queen Victoria, and they've always had a home here at the Ryman Auditorium.
So I didn't really know much about the history of the Ryman, but the second I stepped into it, it just really allowed me to understand how much a part of the Ryman Auditorium is to Nashville history and Nashville's identity.
So if you come to the Ryman today, the auditorium does not look as it originally looked. It was a long process. It kept evolving. For example, it was designed originally to have a gallery, but we didn't have enough money. So to get the building open, the board said, we'll do without the gallery. There's a single floor circle of flat-backed benches. We didn't even have pews yet. Those came a few years later. So it's a big circle of benches all the way around the room, pulpit in the middle.
The Ryman Auditorium's history is mind-boggling when you learn about the wide variety of artists, musicians, and speakers who stood on that stage.
On October 24, 1897, Susan B. Anthony appeared on the Ryman stage during the speech of Reverend Anna Shaw, president of the National Council of Women. Susan B. Anthony was known for her passionate speeches against slavery and for women's rights.
The Ryman also allowed Nashville's black and white citizens to come together to listen to some of the most noted educators, civil rights activists, preachers, and politicians of the day.
May 15, 1902, Booker T. Washington, the celebrated African-American educator of Tuskegee, Alabama, gave a lecture at the Ryman Auditorium to the General Conference of the Colored Methodist Episcopal Church.
This impressive tabernacle was a true gift to Nashville. And in 1904, when Thomas Ryman passed away, Sam Jones proposed that the Union Gospel Tabernacle be renamed the Ryman Auditorium to honor the man with a remarkable vision.
The magic of this place, to me, harkens back to what it was originally designed for. It was designed to save souls. It was built as a tabernacle.
Thank you, Mr. Ryman.
Reverend Sam Jones died in his train cabin on October 15, 1906. His memorial service was held at the Ryman.
His body was down in Georgia, but he was so beloved here in Nashville as well. We also held a memorial for him. And it was just to honor this great man who not only changed one of the other great men here in Nashville, Thomas Ryman, but also changed the city forever by inspiring the construction of the Ryman Auditorium.
Well, I think the Ryman itself and its history makes it iconic. I think the spirits that live in the Ryman, of all the artists that have been there, of all the people that have come, I think that's what makes the Ryman. It's pretty sacred.
Just when you think you've peeled every layer off the onion, the Ryman's got another secret.
And opera stars performed on the Ryman stage. Ooh.
Oh, it's mesmerizing.
I can't look away.
Cleaning that greasy mess?
And not even scrubbing.
Well, fluff my feathers.
Dawn Platinum is bringing it.
You know it. It cuts through the grease better than their old dish soap.
Keep quacking.
Platinum breaks down the slimy stuff it would leave behind, removing 99% of grease and food residue. That's why only Dawn is trusted to save wildlife.
Yeah.
I'd fly south for a clean like that.
Dawn Platinum, the better grease getter.
It's a big milestone for us. This is huge.
So cool. That's the most beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah.
This could get crazy.
All reality, WeTV.
My family has drama food.
It's real voices.
Never know what's going to happen once you get us all together.
There is a skinnier person inside of me.
It's real emotions.
I do.
Robbing the bank is kind of a turn-on.
Unbelievable.
And it's all in one place.
I had 72 hours before the marshals come after me.
What?
I'm here for it, honey. All of it.
All reality, WeTV.
There are moments when it gets scary.
You hear shooting down there?
And the important thing to do is not panic. Be dynamic.
They're here improving their skills for how to get through Russian minefields.
I love that Scripps News gives me the opportunity to go where the stories are. You meet the most amazing people, everyday individuals whose stories take bravery to tell. These are stories the world should know about.
Jason Bellini, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from around the world, stream Scripps News.
Ion is on with 3 networks to enjoy.
Yeah, it's on.
Yes, showtime.
You're going to want to see this.
It's on. Ion, Ion Plus, and Ion Mystery. It's on.
Happy anniversary.
To the Ryman Auditorium.
I think a lot of people perceive this place as just country music, and it couldn't be further from the truth. You know, the people that have played here have been across all genres of music, and that to me is the way it ought to be.
The list of artists, actors, and politicians who stood on the Ryman stage is astonishing.
On October 22nd, 1907, former President Theodore Roosevelt visited and lectured on the Ryman stage.
It was a big to-do, as you might imagine. He landed over here at Union Station on his custom train car. He was greeted by throngs of people with teddy bears, with rebel yells, bunting, you name it.
The former president was scheduled to speak for 10 minutes, but he stayed on stage for nearly half an hour due to a splendid and enthusiastic ovation of thousands of patriotic Tennesseans.
An interesting side note, not only did we have one of the most famous U.S. presidents in our building, but we also had Tennessee's own Jack Daniel here at the Ryman. He actually came up from Lynchburg, Tennessee to see Teddy Roosevelt on our stage. He says, when that man runs for office again, we're going to send him an inaugural bottle, because he loved hearing him so much. Roosevelt didn't run the next election, and it never actually was sent.
July 4th, 1910, Jack Johnson, the heavyweight champion at the time, fought James J. Jeffries in Reno, Nevada.
The fight wasn't here, but the funny thing was they sold tickets, people came in, so people actually came to the Ryman to hear what happened with the Jack Johnson-Jim Jeffries fight. As the plays came across the telegraph machine, someone would announce what happens.
Johnson knocked Jeffries down 3 times in the 14th round. Many consider this one of the greatest boxing matches of all time.
Helen Keller, obviously a national icon, she came here in 1913.
This was the first ticketed event to sell out at the Ryman Auditorium.
Helen Keller, an American icon who was born deaf and blind, nevertheless she was able to learn how to not only speak, but to write without the ability of her sight and hearing.
Keller and her remarkable teacher, Anne Sullivan Macy, addressed the full house. In her 15-minute speech, Keller said, "We are successful so far as we help each other."
First Jubilee Singers returned to the Ryman in 1914 to perform when hundreds of women delegates convened to discuss and advocate women's suffrage.
The suffrage movement continued to find a home at the Ryman until 1920, when the 19th Amendment was ratified.
In the early 1900s, someone entered the Ryman story that was instrumental in the building's colorful history, someone named Lula.
And Lula Naff worked for this gentleman named DeLong Rice. So in 1904, she gets a job with him, moves to Nashville. She started working and booking shows.
She took so well to the booking business that they gave her the whole kit and caboodle. She became the agent that ran the Ryman, and more than that, she became the general manager.
Lula was motivated by the fact that she was a widow, supporting her mother and daughter, and needed to make money.
Naturally, she had some concerns. Could she do it? Her big boost in her confidence happened in 1916.
She booked singer John McCormick, who required a handsome deposit to confirm. It's rumored that Lula mortgaged her home to secure the booking, and her instincts paid off as the tenor's performance at the Ryman sold out.
It was a huge win for Lula. So it was after that that Lula felt like she could really do this.
Lula Naff booked everything in the Ryman Auditorium, from Harry Houdini to musicians, opera, everything.
And African Americans celebrated the anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation at the Ryman Auditorium.
The proclamation declared that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states are, and henceforward, shall be free.
Lula was booking such big-name musicians, actors, and speakers at the Ryman that it acquired the nickname the Carnegie Hall of the South. As a matter of fact, when I played Carnegie Hall, I said, "Welcome to the Ryman Auditorium of the North."
America's biggest film star, Charlie Chaplin, visited the Ryman to help American troops during World War I by selling war bonds. Chaplin performed his famous tramp waddle every time $10,000 was raised.
And the final donations reached $375,000, which by today's standards is over $6 million.
And as a performer, as a comedian, it just is perfect because people are right on top of you and you can do comedy and they're seeing your face and they're seeing your expressions, and it's just the gold standard for comedy for me.
And opera stars performed on the Ryman stage. Ooh.
Enrico Caruso was one of the premier vocalists of all time, arguably one of the greatest opera singers ever.
He was the lead tenor of the Metropolitan Opera. Caruso sold out the Ryman. Imagine how his voice sounded in that room.
The famous magician, Harry Houdini, performed his famous water escape at the Ryman.
So the show actually was advertised to include his underwater torture escape. That was what was promised to be here at the Ryman. It was thought that maybe they didn't do it because they were worried that the stage couldn't support the weight of that big tank of water. So instead, they decided to toggle over to another iconic trick, the milk can escape.
Just when you think you peeled every layer off the onion, the Ryman's got another secret. I didn't know that Harry Houdini played there, so now, next time I'm there, I'll be thinking of that.
Cowboy and humorist Will Rogers appeared on the Ryman stage as part of a coast-to-coast lecture tour because it's the Cowboy Way.
Marian Anderson is one of the iconic vocalists who have performed here at the Ryman. Her debut was in 1932. first African-American on the New York Metropolitan Opera, and she performs here in Nashville, and unfortunately, it was a very small crowd, very modest crowd. Nevertheless, her fame grew, and the next time she returned at the Ryman, sold-out show, and they were all sold out after that.
Katharine Hepburn, Charlie Chaplin, those performers were there because Lula C. Neff knew how to book them.
Lula Neff should be named the patron saint of the Ryman Auditorium. Her vision was nothing short of brilliant. She booked diverse acts and had the vision, tenacity, and work ethic that laid the foundation for the Ryman's success.
We would have dressed on Broad Street. We did not care. We were going to be on the Opry.
Hey everybody, I'm Tanya.
I'm Michael.
And we are the War and Treaty.
Happy anniversary to the Ryman Auditorium.
For 130 years now, Nashville has had an iconic gathering spot, a place for community, a place for entertainment, a place called the Mother Church, the Ryman Auditorium, and there's no place else like it on earth.
Long before the Ryman was the home of the Opry, the stage had theater shows with top actors such as
the great Sarah Bernhardt, who starred in Camille. Her appearance attracted more attention than any other theatrical event that decade.
The Barrymore family are considered acting legends. Ethel Barrymore, the great aunt of actor Drew Barrymore, performed in The Love Duel at the Ryman. Men everywhere were smitten with Ethel, and it's rumored that Winston Churchill proposed to her, but she declined.
Ryman manager Lula Neff filled the Ryman pews with more theater royalty in 1934 with Helen Hayes, who performed in Mary of Scotland. And in 1938, she returned to the Ryman in Victoria Regina, a play all about Queen Victoria.
Tallulah Bankhead performed in George Kelly's comedy Reflected Glory. Tallulah was a colorful stage and film star, and her final public appearance was on The Tonight Show alongside Paul McCartney and John Lennon.
Lula Neff's tenacity was fierce in 1939 when she went to court for the right to present Tobacco Road on the Ryman stage. The play was banned in Chicago and Detroit for being immoral, but Lula stuck to her guns and won the right to show the work. Tobacco Road became one of the top 20 longest running shows on Broadway.
Lula had contacts that you can't even believe because she could book anybody she wanted to. And of course, as word spread of how wonderful that theater is, everybody wanted to work it just like they do today.
Katharine Hepburn, Van Heflin, and Joseph Cotton performed in one of the Ryman's most memorable productions, The Philadelphia Story. The Academy Award-winning film version starred Hepburn with Cary Grant and James Stewart.
As an actor, I think doing a play on the stage at the Ryman would be amazing because of the audience response. They're with you. The Ryman audiences are like, wow, yeah.
The Grand Ole Opry had several homes in the early 1900s, but the Ryman was the most iconic.
June 5th, 1943, the Grand Ole Opry moved from the War Memorial Auditorium to the Ryman Auditorium.
I'm just so proud to be here.
When the Opry was at the Ryman, it was the sparkle and twang era of country. People think figure skating outfits are over the top, but look at what these guys were wearing. Jimmy Dickens and Porter Wagner. I couldn't even get one of those outfits off the ground.
There were so many lights. All the suits were all sparkling. It was just an amazing thing to see people. It was like bees in a hive. I mean, some would be going out, some would be coming off.
And I always like to think about when you're walking behind the curtain, what stories were being told back there? What was Tammy Wynette saying to Porter Wagner when the show was happening, or what was Dolly doing before the show?
All the women of the Opry had to use the restroom to change their clothes in. We would have dressed on Broad Street. We did not care. We were going to be on the Opry.
We were all in that ladies' restroom, and one night in there, Jean Shepherd handed me a hairbrush, and she said, "Here, Celia, you ain't doing anything. Fix the back of my hair." Later on, I realized she didn't need me to fix the back of her hair. She knew that I felt uncomfortable, and I was new, and that was her way of including me. I think that's where the Opry sisterhood really started.
In the 40s through the 70s, the Opry audiences were hardworking folks that came from far and wide to see the shows.
Now, in the summertime, it would get a little toasty in there because Ryman did not have air conditioning. So they had these hand fans, and they'd just be, fanning away.
They had their little sacks of whatever it was they brought in. It was just like if you were having a homecoming with relatives.
I remember smelling the smells of juicy fruit chewing gum, the smells of liquor on somebody's breath.
They were there to hear great country music, and the Ryman had so much.
It was a great atmosphere because you knew in your heart it was as hard for them to get there as it was for you. You knew that.
Even after the Opry called the Ryman home, we still had all kinds of performers come through our buildings. And believe it or not, we even had some unusual things such as ice skating shows.
Sponsored by the Civil Air Patrol, Ray Schulte's Hollywood Ice Revels appeared at the Ryman for a 4-day run on May 2nd through the 5th, 1944. 72 performers skating on a real rink of ice on the building stage. People ask me all the time, how do you put ice on a stage? Well, all you have to do is create an environment where water freezes.
WSM Radio, which first broadcast in 1925, aired the Grand Ole Opry shows for decades and continues today. The call letters, WSM, reflected National Life and Accident Insurance Company motto, "We shield millions."
Well, when Bill Monroe came to the Opry, he said that WSM stood for William Smith Monroe.
In all my early years, far back 4 or 5 years old, we listened to the Grand Ole Opry, and it was coming to you live from the Ryman Auditorium, downtown Nashville, Tennessee.
December the 8th, 1945 was marked the birth of bluegrass, when Earl Scruggs made his debut with Bill Monroe's Bluegrass Boys, completing the historic lineup that would serve as the prototype for the bluegrass sound.
The biggest impression from my first trip to the Ryman Auditorium when I was 7 was Bill Monroe. Watching those guys work one mic, which is just the way it was done at the time.
The first time I played the Ryman, I had my mandolin out playing, and I would just kind of leaned up against the wall there backstage at the Ryman, and Earl Scruggs walked by, listened to me play. He said, "That boy's good." He said, "Won't you bring him down for an audition for our television show?"
Ricky, you all drove back and ready to go? What you gonna do for us this time? Ruby. Ruby, that's a good one.
And you can see it on TV, black and white, with my vacation Bible school haircut.
Oh, that's real fine, Ricky. Thank you so much.
Two civil rights icons, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and John Lewis, stood together on this stage.
Happy anniversary to the Ryman Auditorium.
While the Ryman was home to the Grand Ole Opry, Lula Nath was still booking theater, ballet, and more.
On January the 16th, 1949, Bob Hope, Doris Day, and Les Brown Band broke all existing records for attendance and receipts at the Ryman. Ticket holders paid top price for the tickets and sat wherever they could, sometimes even sitting on the stage.
My grandmother, my mother, they were on that stage years and years ago, and they had a lot to do with creating country music as we know it. June Carter was young when she first stepped on that stage with her sisters, Helen and Anita, and my grandmother, Maybelle. And so when I walk on that stage, I feel as if I'm going home every time I go back to the Ryman.
Besides all of the Opry legends who played the Ryman in the 1950s, Lula Nath helped it to be an integrated space. She was the first person who thought, well, let's be sure and book African-American artists here.
She booked the most popular jazz, gospel, and R&B artists. They included Duke Ellington, Mahalia Jackson, Sarah Vaughan, Nat King Cole, Louis Armstrong, Dizzy Gillespie, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Count Basie, and Charlie Parker.
October 2nd, 1954, Elvis Presley made his first and only appearance on the Grand Ole Opry.
He performed Bill Monroe's Blue Moon of Kentucky, and the audience didn't quite know what to make of it.
He didn't do it as Bill would have done it. He would do what you might call a rockabilly version of the song.
It took a minute for the audience to really understand what they had just seen. because we had never seen anything like that before.
I remember hearing the story about Elvis trying out for the Opry on the Ryman Auditorium stage and them telling him to go back home and drive a truck.
Now, there's a lot of myth around that night. Jim Denny was here as the Opry manager. Jim Denny says he never said it. Elvis has maintained that that did happen. So, fact from fiction, who knows?
Lula Neff worked her tail off to book shows at the Ryman for decades. We owe so much to her for not only making the Ryman enjoyable, but also profitable.
November 1st, 1955, Lula Neff retired from her position as the general manager of the Ryman.
Harry Draper, her assistant, was basically being given her job, and she was pretty devastated. It was a sad time for Lula, and a sad time for the people in Nashville.
Upon her retirement, Lula received a letter from the Hollywood actress Helen Hayes, which read, "I'm grateful to be one of those who played during your reign, and therefore have such delicious memories."
Over the years, countless artists have appeared on the Ryman stage, whether it's playing to sold-out shows, making an Opry debut, or becoming an Opry member, continuing to give audiences the variety the Ryman has been known for.
July 7, 1956, my father, Johnny Cash, joined the Grand Ole Opry. I truly believe that my father would have said that that was the real beginning of his career.
The Everly Brothers made their Opry debut the same week their first single, Bye Bye Love, entered the country charts.
January 9th, 1960. Patsy Cline joined the Grand Ole Opry.
In 1961, Patsy had an auto accident, and it injured her pretty significantly, and she actually did stand here in front of a microphone, crutches, and performed. She received encores, and she bumped into Fair and Young, who said something to the effect of, "Of course you're gonna get encores with those sympathy sticks you're leaning on."
In 1961, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference held their annual meeting in Nashville. Two civil rights icons, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and John Lewis, stood together on this stage.
Dr. Martin Luther King gave away scholarship money to students who participated in the Freedom Rides. One of those students was Congressman John Lewis, who also participated in the sit-ins at the Woolworths, right up the street from the Ryman.
April 15th, 1962, Jackie Robinson, who in January that year was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, joined African-American Nashville civil rights leaders and spoke on the Ryman stage.
September 27, 1963. National Life Insurance Company purchased the Ryman Auditorium with a sum of $207,500. After the purchase, the official name of the building was changed to the Grand Ole Opry House.
The Ryman has been a place for celebration and bereavement. The Opry is a family, and when we lose one of our own, the Ryman Auditorium has wrapped her arms around us as we mourn.
On March 5th, 1963, a tribute was held for Patsy Cline and her bandmates, Hawkshaw Hawkins and Cowboy Copas. They and pilot Randy Hughes lost their lives when their plane crashed near Camden, Tennessee.
It was a very dark time for the show, and it just devastated all the Opry members. And so during a live broadcast of the Grand Ole Opry, they brought the whole cast out here on the stage, and they had a moment of silence.
A memorial service was held for Bill Monroe, the great bluegrass legend and influence on so many artists.
The bagpipes played Go Rest High on That Mountain as they carried him out of here, and that tore me up.
The man who helped create the Nashville sound, Chet Atkins, was mourned. Early in his career, Chet played guitar for the Carter family.
Chet was the first music I ever went to see as a little boy. My dad took me to our Civic Center in Oklahoma City, and that's the first music I ever heard live was the great Chet Atkins, and it stuck for the rest of my life.
Johnny Cash's passing in 2003 was marked by a musical tribute with countless artists paying their respects to the man in black.
And most recently, the Ryman held another musical tribute for Naomi Judd. And I know that all of us will forever love the Judds.
Yes, love can be between your heart and mine.
And there's just something about us all being together there during that time that brings a peace to everyone.
Between your heart and mine. Yes, love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time?
It means the world to me that we got to shoot Nashville there.
Circle Country brings you Lonesome Dove, an epic story of the West.
Hell of a picture.
Starring Tommy Lee Jones and Robert Duvall, has two old friends who set out on an adventure in this classic Western story. The journey brings dangerous enemies, unexpected hardships, love, old and new, and tested friendship in the desire to complete an ambitious cattle drive from Texas to Montana.
I like a shot of whiskey, and so would my companion. It ain't too much trouble. Howdy, boy, you got a good game going there?
Who the hell's that?
You got mud in your ears or what?
Rye, or what'll it be, old timer?
Rye will do, provided it gets here quick.
You darn cowboys ought to broom yourselves off before you walk in here. Let's get all the sand we need without the customers bringing it in. That'll be $1.
Now, besides the whiskey, I think we'll require a little respect. Now, I'm Captain Augustus McCrae. This is Captain Woodrow F. Call. Now, if you care to turn around, you can see how we looked when we was younger, and the people around here wanted to make us senators. Now, the thing we didn't put up with then was dawdling service. And as you can see, we still don't put up with it. Fresh glass, please.
Happy anniversary to the Ryman Auditorium.
130 years and still going.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
The Johnny Cash Show was taped at the Ryman. Its diverse lineup was groundbreaking and impacted several of today's artists.
The Johnny Cash Show is a big deal to people exactly my age, because that was when I finally figured out in Texas that it was okay to be a long-haired kid with cowboy boots, because I saw Merle Haggard and Bob Dylan and Neil Young.
I went to see Johnny Cash when he was taping his television show there. When he sang Sunday Morning Coming Down, wow, I had chill bumps.
Of a sleeping city sidewalk and a Sunday morning coming down.
I thought about all 50-something episodes of the Johnny Cash Show, and that's one piece of 130 years of history. That one small piece alone was enough to make me want to do a cartwheel, and that's a big physical ask of myself, I tell you that, and to say the least.
Charlie Pride became the first black solo singer to perform on the Opry.
Pride later received a standing offer to join the Opry cast, but he did not accept until 1993.
Now both a Grand Ole Opry cast member and a member of the Country Music Hall of Fame, Charlie Pride has given many memorable performances at the Ryman.
Kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home.
And on May 13th, 1967, Merle Haggard brought the Bakersfield sound to the Ryman stage when he made his Opry debut.
Soulful country music singer Linda Martell became the first African-American woman to appear on the Opry.
Instead of sitting and crying with a bad case of the blues.
She would return to the show 11 more times before it left this stage.
For several years, the CMA Awards were held at the Ryman, and on October 16th, 1972, Loretta Lynn won Entertainer of the Year at the 6th Annual CMA Awards. She was the first woman to win this honor.
The Country Music Entertainer of the Year is Loretta Lynn. Thank you.
In addition to the CMAs, the Ryman has provided the backdrop for documentaries such as Neil Young's Heart of Gold and Wilco's Ashes of American Flags, as well as major motion pictures like Sweet Dreams and Coal Miner's Daughter.
I grew up watching Coal Miner's Daughter. I saw it 18 times before I ever moved to Nashville, and that famous scene of Loretta Lynn getting out of the car.
Oh, this is the Grand Ole Opry. The Grand Ole Opry.
Dolly Parton filmed an episode of her ABC TV variety show at the Ryman. During the show, she gathered some of country music's greatest women to reminisce backstage.
Listen, I was in that old ladies' room over there one night, and I heard the most exciting sound coming from this auditorium. Just people screaming and just going crazy. Guess who it was when I walked out? Hank Williams singing.
Hank Williams, yeah.
Getting to host Monday night concerts at the Ryman was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had.
I'd even swim the ocean from shore to shore to prove that I love you a little bit more. Baby, won't you let me know you Elvis Costello, I wanna love you, honey.
Elvis Costello and George Jones together, one of my very, very favorite shows.
Come, Julie, baby, I'm a woman man.
It means the world to me that we got to shoot Nashville there. Nashville had a special magic to it, and so much of it was venues like the Ryman. Getting to do our show there and getting to be a part of the history of the Ryman, that blows me away.
The Americana Music Association began its residency at the Ryman Auditorium and offered an opportunity for artists like me and others who have existed a little bit outside of mainstream country to also celebrate the legacy of American traditional music.
So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me.
The spirit of Americana is that we all come together to celebrate gospel and blues and country at its rawest form. All the different genres of music that created the fabric of America.
That kind of music sounds more at home at the Ryman than any other stage on earth.
It was kind of boarded up and people couldn't go in, kind of like a health hazard.
I searched the whole world 3 times over, through every closed and open door. I didn't even know what I was looking for. I found a love, I found a love, I found a love so true.
These are the clips we don't want you to miss. The wildest and wackiest video. From heart-stopping to heartwarming. If it's been caught on camera, we've got it here. Caught on Clips. Streaming on Scripps News.
My family has drama food. It's real emotions.
I do.
All in one place. There is a skinnier person inside of me.
Robbing the bank is kind of a turn-on.
I'm here for it, honey. All of it.
All reality, WeTV.
These are the cases that captivated the world.
Couldn't keep my life straight.
They were killed by their own children.
That challenged the legal system and ourselves. Court TV, Legendary Trials.
It's a big milestone for us. This is huge.
So cool. That's the most beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah.
I've worked hard all my life. I learned the secret to success is speaking in your authentic voice. And I bring that lesson to my show every morning.
Opening Statement with Julie Grant. Weekday mornings at 8, 7 Central. Only on Court TV.
Hey, Ryman Auditorium.
Happy 130th anniversary to the Ryman Auditorium.
You don't look a day over 120.
In '69, the announcement was made for the Opry to leave the Ryman Auditorium.
Well, you had this amazing building that had housed the intentions and hopes and aspirations of a whole community for 100 years. And then by the time the Opry left, it was just a place for the pigeons.
And so the question is, What do you do with the Ryman? What's going to happen to this old place?
It was kind of boarded up and people couldn't go in. We're calling it kind of like a health hazard.
Broken windows, rotting wood, bricks that were falling off. This part of the balcony over here on the stage right side, they had piles of pews and stuff back there. So the building was very much dilapidated.
And there were some people that are, associated with the Grand Ole Opry that didn't care whether it got torn down or not. So there didn't look like anybody was going to step in and save it.
There was a big movement by the owners to actually demolish the Ryman, and this big tug of war ensued. Do we save the Ryman? Do we demolish the Ryman?
The reaction is utter disbelief that somebody could think of tearing down a historical monument. It's part of the history of America, not just Nashville, and not just country music.
We were all devastated to think that entity could be gone. It could just poof and be gone.
Emmylou Harris, who always was a trailblazer, had the great idea to put together a concert and to remind Nashville of how important the legacy of the Ryman really was.
In 1991, I was looking for a place to record a live album with my band, the Nash Ramblers. My dear friend, music executive Bonnie Garner, said, "Why not the Ryman?" Well, it had never occurred to me that I could play on that stage where so many of my heroes had performed.
When Emmylou's concert taping came out, it generated a lot of interest from other musicians as well as the general public to say, we want the Ryman back.
In 1992, Gaylord Entertainment, the Ryman's owner, announced the decision to completely renovate and expand the Ryman, to not only save the beloved building, but make it once again a world-class auditorium.
Nashville's Mother Church of Country Music reopened in June of 1994. The first performance in the newly renovated building was Garrison Keillor's A Prairie Home Companion.
First time I ever played on that stage, I was filming a TV show for Garrison Keillor. I got filled with a spirit and a warmth and a thing that I've never felt anything like it in my life. I paid attention to that, and there's a reverence that I have for this place because of what happened to me literally.
When people ask us, how does the Ryman rate? The Vatican is to Catholics what Royal Albert Hall is in London to musicians. But for America, it's the Ryman.
February 14th, 1998, in the spirit of the type of shows Lou Knapp booked in the early days of the Ryman, world-renowned mime Marcel Marceau performed his silent talents on Valentine's Day. That's crazy. You can't hear a thing at the Ryman stage. First time probably ever.
When the Grand Ole Opry left in 1974, people thought that was it. We'd never have the Opry back at the old Mother Church again. And so the decision was made in 1999 to bring the old radio show back home. And for years, there was a winter broadcast series where the Opry would come home, and it was a big deal. I mean, some of the country music's biggest names came back to our stage.
And Trisha Yearwood, who received an invitation to become a Grand Ole Opry member.
The Grand Ole Opry staff and family would like to invite you to be our newest member of the Grand Ole Opry.
It's a yes, thank you.
On January 15th, 2000, Ralph Stanley was inducted into the Grand Ole Opry. The bluegrass legend played the banjo clawhammer style and was featured in the film Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Lots of bluegrass, lots of gospel, lots of just rocking stuff out there now.
It's a venue that people knock themselves down to play now. Everybody I know in any kind of music wants to play the Ryman Auditorium. It's one of my very favorite venues in the world.
I've seen quite a few shows by myself at the Ryman. I've seen Allison Cross there by myself and Nickel Creek, so I kind of like to take myself on a date to the Ryman.
I've seen some heroes of mine on that stage. I saw Jackson Browne. I've been an Elvis Costello fan for a long time. I've seen him there more than once.
I saw Lizzo at the Ryman.
One of my most memorable shows at the Ryman was back in the 70s, and it was Emmylou Harris and Guy Clark.
I got to open for Harry Styles when he played the Ryman, which was incredible.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum recognized the Ryman Auditorium as one of 12 landmark venues. Others include Austin City Limits and Whiskey A Go-Go in Hollywood. Artists like Elvis Presley, Pat Benatar, and Bruce Springsteen have all graced the Ryman stage.
The one thing I genuinely love about the Ryman Auditorium is that it's never really stopped doing what it was meant to do, bringing in the biggest names, the best quality of performance to our stage.
There's just something about the Ryman. Drive downtown and not drive by the Ryman and have your heart just skip a beat.
The length of the Ryman takes up the same distance that like 8 bars take up on Broadway. That's just how long the Ryman Auditorium is.
You look out and you see the pews, and then you look up ever so gently and you see the stained glass, and you're like, this is the mother church. And the word church, for so many people, especially people that look like Ty and I, meant refuge. It meant protection. It meant you're safe here.
Well, when you walk into the Ryman Auditorium, I know for me, immediately I feel that I've stepped onto a seagoing vessel. It's like a ship, y'all. It's like you're in the hold of a great ark, headed out to God knows where. You can smell 130 years of comings and goings. How many people have sat there and done this and done that?
The Ryman is teaching all of us that no matter how long your history is never done making itself.
I was invited to come and perform on the Ryman stage and do all the songs on my album, Company's Coming, which was a collection of old Southern gospel songs.
I saw Leslie Jordan, Fancy, TJ from Brothers Osborne stand on the Ryman stage and sing songs that people with their lifestyle were once banned to sing.
You know, as a Tennessee boy, I think it was the greatest night of my life.
The Ryman Auditorium is a temple to Nashville performance.
It is arguably the most legendary theater on earth.
It's a world-famous venue that I think every artist's bucket list is to play the Ryman.
I think it's magical, and I think all of us think that. And whether you're scared or you think, oh, I'm not doing the right song, I don't have on the right dress, you walk out on that stage and it doesn't matter anymore. You're in a magical world.